Hello and welcome to part 2 of our beginner's guide to working into a foundation chain. In this part we're going to be looking at creating the foundation chain and then working into 2 loops, the top and back loop. So grab your hook, grab your yarn and let's get started. Let's begin. To start with, I'm going to be making my slip knot. So my yarn goes over my hand, I hold it in place with my 2 lower fingers and secure it with my thumb. Wrap that yarn around my 2 fingers, crossing it over, and I continue to wrap it around and I hold it in place with my little finger, making sure I've got the yarn secure with my thumb and my little finger. With my hook, I make sure it's facing down. I go under that top loop, over that second loop, and I pull it up. Continuing to lift the crochet hook up and slowly release my fingers underneath. I can then pull the 2 strands apart, which will tighten my slip knot. Okay, to begin, I always hold my starting yarn, my tail, just out of the road down there. Make sure you don't pick it up and start working with that. Okay, I place my thumb over that slip knot because that helps to keep it secure. With my hook, I'm going to go yarn over and pull it through the loop that's on the hook. I give a little tug, raise that hook just a little bit so you can see some of the table through the hook and the chain, and that helps me to keep it consistent tension and make it workable, so the next time I bring my hook through, I can go through easily. If you do it too tight, it makes it very difficult to get your hook through that chain. So just a little bit of tension. You don't want it too loose because then your work will be difficult to work into. I've done 2 chains so far, 1, 2. This first part here is the slip knot. That does not count. So you can see 1 loop and 2 loops. Let's keep going. Yarn goes over the hook. Pull that through the loop that's on your hook. Yarn goes over, pull that through. I keep creeping my thumb up so I keep that consistent tension in my work, and I make sure that when I'm pulling my hook through and I'm lifting it just slightly, I raise it the same amount each time as well. This helps to get a consistent tension. However, tension is something that even the most experienced crocheters will still have issues with on some of their projects. All you can do is keep practicing and try and find methods that are going to help you be consistent. Here is my chain so far. I'm going to keep going. Yarn goes over the hook just once and I pull it through the loop that was on my hook. I'm holding my thumb down. I keep lifting it up so you can only see about 1 chain, which makes sure I have which helps me to keep a consistent tension. I'm also trying to hold the yarn back here consistently as well. So I'm not letting it get too tight because then that will change my tension. That's a bit tighter. You can see it's already too hard to work with, and if I pull it through, well, I can't even get that through. Too tight. So keeping that consistent. Same deal if I had it too loose. I pull that through, you can already see that chain's way too big. So just trying to be consistent, and that comes with practice. I'm going to do a few more chains and then I'm going to show you how to count them because I want to make sure that I have 20 for this sample. Okay, let's have a look. This first knot here does not count, that's our slip knot. What we're looking for is our first ring, which you can see here. That doesn't count. This is our first chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, my last chain here, before I continue with the loop that's on my hook. So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So from here, you can see my chains are all looking relatively consistent and the same size. I'm now going to turn my work around, and I'm going to be working with single crochets. What I need to do is chain one more time. This does not count as one of my beginning chains. This is a turning chain, and the purpose of the turning chain is to raise the hook and the yarn to the right level so you can begin your next row. So from here, I'm not going to be working in the first chain from the hook, that's my turning chain. I'm going to be working in the second chain. And to do that, I'm going to be going through the middle, but towards the bottom. I want to go in there because I want to collect 2 strands on my hook. This is the loop that's already on my hook, and this is the chain I've picked up, and you can see I have 2 yarns above the hook. That's exactly what I'm after. Pull that yarn through, yarn over again, and pull it through. This is my first stitch of my next row. That's my turning chain, which does not count. And here is the first chain that I've worked into. So to continue on, I've worked into this chain, and you can see that that's what's coming out of it. I need to move over now to the next chain. And what I need to do is get into this gap here, and you can see I have 2 loops above my hook, so I've gone into the right place. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through again. Okay, and you can see now that I'm leaving 1 loop behind. I've worked into this stitch, this chain, my first stitch. I worked with my second stitch into this chain. 1 loop underneath my stitches. So moving along, you can see this loop is going to finish here. Here's the next gap that I want to work into. So I'm going to follow that yarn and work right next to it. Got 2 pieces of yarn on top of the hook, so I'm in the right place. Yarn goes over, bring it back through. Yarn over, bring it through again. I have now done 1, 2, 3 stitches, and that is our turning chain here, which does not count. And you can see from the bottom I've got 1 loop under each stitch. Just worked into this one, we need to move over. Now you need to be careful because you've worked into this space here. If you look at this space here and think that's where I need to go next, you can see there's only 1 piece of yarn on top of the hook. So if I complete that stitch, you can now see, wait a minute, we've got a big gap. It no longer looks right. I've done something wrong. So you can undo, gently undo just 1 of those stitches. You can see, right, that's not the right space. I need to be next to that. So in this next space here, hook goes through, yarn goes over. We've got 2 strands on top, so we're in the right space. Bring that back, hook goes around, and bring that through. Let's continue. So again, I've just worked into this gap, so I've got 1 strand underneath. I need to go to the next space, which will be here, with this 1 strand underneath. Hook goes into this gap. Oops. 2 strands on top. Yarn goes over, bring that through. Yarn goes over, bring that through again. Over to the next gap. You can see that's the yarn that I've got under, that's the space I went into, that part of the chain. I need to do the same again in here. 2 on top, yarn goes over, pull that through, yarn goes over, pull that through. Moving along, remember, don't go into this next gap up here because that's only 1 yarn on top. You need to go into the gap where you're going to have 2. You need to pick up the top loop and the back loop, which is this ridge here. So we're going into this space here. 2 on top, which is correct. Yarn over, bring it through. Yarn over, bring it through. And again, into that next gap. You've got one under the hook and 2 pieces of yarn on top, so you're in the right space. Into that next gap, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through. Kind of looking to go underneath, there's a crossover on top. That's where you want to be going each time. Yarn over and pull that through. So again, into that space, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through to that space. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through. Okay, I'm going to show you what can happen. As you can see, that's starting to look really consistent. Quite a nice finish. I'm going to show you what can happen if you go into the wrong place. So I've already shown you what can happen if you go into the gap at the top, but if you go into this same part again, so I'm working into the exact same chain, you can see it looks quite cluttered, and you can tell that there's 2 stitches in that one space. And if I do the next one just to show you exactly how that looks if you're in the wrong space. You can see definitely it's turning our work around a corner and it's looking cluttered. So I can just undo that one, and I can undo that extra stitch that I put in there, and I'm right to continue on into the next part, looking for that solo strand underneath that I haven't yet worked through, picking that up. I'm going to show you what happens if you miss one. So this is the space I need to work into next, but if I skip that and move into the next one, you can see once you pull your work apart, when you've moved into the next round or two, big gap right here. So that tells you you've missed a chain and you haven't picked it up. So again, you can undo that, and you can continue to work. Pick up that one that you've missed. Make sure you have both strands on top of the hook. Pick that up and single crochet into there. Just going to move along now a little bit faster to the end of the round, so I can show you how to count and make sure you have the right amount of stitches. As well as how to turn your work and continue on. Okay, getting closer to the end, I can see I've worked into this stitch here, this chain. I need to work into this chain, 2 on the top, and I'm coming up to my last one. I know it's my last chain, even though there seems to be multiple strands, because this is my slip knot and I only have 1 chain left. I can tell that by the 1 strand on top. So I now need to go into this space here. It's always hardest to pick up that first chain. Okay, there we go. If we do a quick check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 stitches. And this last one here is our beginning slip knot, which doesn't count. To turn our work around, we chain 1 again as our turning chain. Turn your work. It doesn't matter too much if you do the chain before or after you turn it, but just be consistent. This here is our turning chain. We ignore that and we work into our first stitch, the single crochet. Again, to our next stitch. Just want to do a few across. I can stop our video here, turn it back to show you. But that is single crocheting into 2 loops, the top loop and the back loop. And that's the finish it gives you, and if I turn it over, that's the finish on the back. Hope you've enjoyed this video and that it has been helpful for you. Thank you.